Okay, so I just watched episode 5 of season 3 of Yellowjackets, and there's going to be big spoilers from here on. I know review's late, so most of you who want to have watched it have already watched it, but there are generally going to be huge spoilers, so just stop listening now. If you don't want to be spoiled, still listen, I presume you won't be spoiled. Okay, so this episode was a mess. There were parts I really enjoyed. I want to say firstly, I love the whole story arc and storyline of like who murdered Lottie. I think that's a great storyline for a TV show. The only problem is, I think, I'm speaking to someone who does write stuff, like, it should have been the sort of overarching story of the season. We should have had her falling downstairs at the start of the season after she bonds with Callie, and you get that stuff in the first episode, and then that happens to her, and then you can use that and prepare you through the entire season. They just sort of, they bang that in at the end of episode 4, and it's sort of like, oh, that's cool. But then they race through the investigation, and it just seems like that could have been your driving force for the season, because this season has lacked a real point or real thematic, like, story structure up to this point. And it ties in with the end of the episode 2. So basically, this episode's the fallout of the trial from last episode, which I said is the best episode of the season, and gave everyone something to do. And this one's like, well, what do we actually do with him now? Which you think they would have decided at the end of the last episode, but never mind. And their decision is they're going to kill him, and they want Ty to do it. And interestingly, Van is trying to coerce Ty in sleepwalking, so that's quite interesting. That's a cool little story beat. And then from there we get Ty practicing and wanting to shoot, and then she finally gets the courage to do it. But Akira, Travis and Lottie, past Lottie, show up, and they're like, no, coach is going to get us home. And you're like, oh shit, that's a really good cliffhanger. At that point, I was like, wow, that's awesome. Well, how is that going to work? What are they going to do? Is that going to create flame tension swing group? No, is it going to lead some interesting story turns? Obviously, Sean still wants revenge. And then it's like, oh, that's cool. That's quite cool. And then immediately from that, they cut to Sean and Melissa walking up the coach. And Melissa slashes him in the tendon, I guess, or an artery. And he starts screaming. And then sort of like, oh shit, well, that's a kind of weird, abrupt cut. You could have, like, gone to that in another episode or something like that, but that's fine. That's cool. And then immediately after that, they walk into camp, and everyone's there except for Lottie and Keela. And they're like, Natalie's like, you don't have to enjoy it. And it's like, wait, so you knew that's going to happen? It's like, okay, like, you've jumped. It's like that we're missing an episode again. And it's just not good storytelling. And I think the problem is, I really think the problem is, they had an idea of where they were going, and then writer's strike happened, and they've come back and they've decided that they've stuck to the original idea they had, or they've changed it because it's summer, it's spring somehow, and they suddenly have caught animals. And it's like, this just feels like it's not structured properly. You had the ending, which turned out to be a fake out ending, and then you had another ending, which was fake out ending, because then you have third ending, and it's like, oh my god, like, all three of those could have ended an episode, and provided some intrigue. But as it stands, it's just like, I think what they're going for is that these kids do not want to go home, which is fine, okay, I guess, but we've never really got a sense that they want to be trapped there. Not really. I mean, it's like they just seem to be getting on things, but you would think that the possibility of going home, they would create some intrigue, some captive stuff, and it just doesn't. It's like, no, apparently they don't want to go home, apparently. And I think that's another thing where it's like, it's three big moments back to back that could have been their own thing. And it's weird, this season's structured very strangely, because, like, if it was planned a bit better, you could have ended 3 episodes with those 3 big moments and just raced through them. And as a result, they're having meaning, because the first one's the best, like, because it means the most. And it's sort of like, oh shit, well, that's interesting. Like, how is Coach going to set them free? Like, be bridge that gets them home. And you could have had an episode dealing with the conflict of that. Like, do we want to let him? Do we want to use him? Do we trust Lottie? Do we do this? Do we do that? And I just feel like it's emblematic of this season where I don't feel they have planned, and they've latched on some cool ideas, and they haven't really they just want to speed through it. I am sort of wondering if this season is a combination of their original plans for season 3 and 4, and the jumping through it is because of that. Because, I mean, obviously, we could use more stuff with Lottie and Callie. If maybe all that stuff with Lottie and, like, maybe that actually was meant to be done season 4, at the start of season 4 to beat that mystery, and it's like, shit, we gotta catch up, like, we gotta speed through these things. But it definitely feels like this season is not working in terms of coherent structure, and that's a shame. There's some really good parts in this episode. Walter and Sean's team up is fantastic. I really like that. I love characters interacting more. I like the fact that Simone remembers that she's got a fucking kid. That's cool. They don't really do anything with it. It's sort of like, hey, you remember this kid? Oh yeah. And I love the vision the kid has, where she's walking on a giant coach and he's bridged to get them home. I mean, maybe they can go a different route with that. I just feel like I don't feel this is working as well as seasons 1 and 2. Although I do love the fact that they are coming a bit more to supernatural. So yeah, it's cool. And I am intrigued as to who took out, Lottie, but I feel like that really, like, it's just something where it could have served for an entire structure of a season, rather than just like, but we got more Lottie out of it, so who knows what I'm talking about. Anyway, I like this episode, but nowhere near as good as last one, and yeah, I don't know where this show is going. I'm going to stick with it because I do still really, really like it, and if this episode had ended with Coach, with them saving Coach, it would have probably got 4 out of 5, but because it didn't, because there are 2 more big moments which undermine that moment, I'm going to go 3 out of 5. So I did enjoy it, but I'm hoping it's better next week.